We're in a world where neuroscience and genetic engineering will change disease diagnosis and treatment. We're in a world where robots will take over agriculture. We're in a world where mobile phones will carry chips and will be able to diagnose ailments very soon. We're in a world where people are exploring the universe, going to space. We're in a world where space rockets are being built, jumbo jets, 787, very nice to fly in. And here in Nigeria, we're talking about mundane things. It's frightening. I don't know if it bothers you, but it bothers me. A world where people are flying to the moon, and you are here talking about cassava becoming bread. We're completely on different planets. No, honestly, it's so pathetic that, you know, at times you wonder that, are we all truly human beings? Because if the excitement that was generated by one young man, Zuckerberg, coming into Nigeria, right? And all of us got into a flurry. Does not bother you, it bothers me. Where are all the young minds in Nigeria? What are we doing as a nation? We need to start investing in education. We need to move up with the times. Times are changing. We're in the dark ages. That's not a pun. Honestly, we are in the dark ages because really we never have electricity. It is a problem. And we all need to start asking ourselves, what can I do to change the conversation? Young people need to get into politics. We're being ruled by a lot of old people. Did I say something wrong? Their ideas are as archaic as people who were still riding on horseback when people are flying jets. That's the truth. How many of those in government today know how to, even I struggled with Instagram. How much more the people that are ruling us today? The world has moved on. So, as a nation, in moving forward, we have to become a lot more creative. And I keep saying it that I'm focusing on us, not them. I'm focusing on us, not them. Because it's important that we all get our heads wired to a place where we all begin to contribute to this space. We all can continue to depend on other people to solve our problems for us. So from politics, we all agree we're all going to get involved? Are we all agree we're all going to get involved? We have to get involved. Otherwise, whatever it is that I'm telling you now is useless. It's of no use to anybody. Because let me tell you why. Nigeria is the typical example of what happens if you don't have the right people governing you. Raw materials are as useless to a nation as, I'm trying to look for the analogy. If you don't have smart people ruling you, you might as well have no raw materials. Because the fact of the matter is the nations that don't have are thriving without them. So that tells you that the resources we have or that God gave us is not what is critical. It's a nice to have. But what is critical is the development of the human mind. Did you get that? So if each and every one of us became a Zuckerberg, if each and every one of us became a Steve Jobs, do you know what that would contribute to this space? Meanwhile, we're all waiting for oil. In a way, it's been a blessing that the thing isn't coming out anymore. Because we're now beginning to ask questions and beginning to demand answers. You know? So at times, certain things that appear like they are actually a curse are actually blessings in disguise. So, when I look at Nigeria, in doing this research, I asked, these are the things everybody will tell you, so I'm just going to tell you because I'm supposed to. Nigeria has natural resources. We have a lot of arable land, agriculture. In the world today, Nigeria is number one, the number one producer of yam, cassava, shea butter, melon seed, kola nut, cocoyam, and sorghum. We're number one. So let's say peradventure, some of us are unemployed. Can I ask, why can't we go back to farming? What's wrong with farming? This is part of the education we need to get involved in. We all need to go back to tilling the soil. I know that mechanized agriculture has come, but let's first start by feeding ourselves. That way we reduce the amount of dependency we place on importation of rice. So everybody can, this urban-rural drift will stop if some of us focus on agriculture and we began to export agricultural products. So those are products that were number one in the world. Again, the Nigerian Promotion Council has said that it is focusing on zero oil plan going forward, a zero oil plan. So their hope is that going forward, Nigeria would be in a position where I'll advise each and every one of you to visit the Nigerian Export Promotion Council and get advice on all the products that you can possibly, if you want to get into agriculture, get involved in. They have category A products, they have category B products. And they're also looking at a possibility where each state will adopt one product. So one state, one product. So that means that if you look at Abeokuta, for instance, we all know Abeokuta for one thing, Adire. So if Abeokuta was to focus on producing Adire to the whole of Nigeria and exporting it, can you imagine the amount of revenue that would generate for Abeokuta? Again, if we look at Nigerians and the diaspora, they're hoping the Nigerian diaspora will begin to promote Buy Nigeria. These are some of the things that we can do to start reversing the trend of poverty in our land. Agriculture, again, we have solid minerals. Solid minerals, Nigeria has 7 major solid minerals: gold, bitumen, iron ore, limestone, barytes, lead. And if you look at the estimates that is written that we have, but unfortunately, there has been very little mining in Nigeria. Again, that's a function of not applying ourselves. So for over close to 56 years, we haven't done much. So mining is done haphazardly. People pick up those, like was mentioned earlier, literally just pick it up, and there is no accountability, there is no coalition of what is going on in the mining sector. But the mining sector today, the minister told me that they're looking at putting in place the legislative and the legal framework so that mining can be done on an organized basis, and hopefully we will be able to make some revenue from mining. Again, if you look at tourism, I talked about that the last time I came here about the entertainment sector. It is believed that human services and human resources is probably what is going to bring us the most revenue in Nigeria, as was mentioned earlier. So if you look at tourism in Nigeria, it's also an area that we haven't focused on at all. And all the stats I have, but I find statistics to be very boring. But the truth of the matter is, if we focused on our arts and entertainment sector, we will generate a lot of revenue in Nigeria. And this is an area that we haven't looked at all. Close to $8.5 billion is what PricewaterhouseCoopers believes that if we focused on our tourism sector, our entertainment sector, that we'll be able to add value to Nigeria. That being said, when I talk, I like to give practical examples of things so that people just don't think you're coming here to talk, but things are hard. Things are hard for us. The environment is stifling. So I give my story as an example. When we started TerraCulture, I came back home. I did not want to practice law. So I looked at the gap in the market. As an expatriate staff with the UN, I recognized that I always enjoyed visiting museums and galleries and spaces like that. And I realized that we didn't have that in Nigeria. That was the reason why I created TerraCulture. That is to suggest to you that you and I, if we look around us today, there's a lot of gaps in the system that you can plug into. There are things that I'm sure that you've asked yourselves in your quiet moments, that how come this isn't working? How come we don't have this? That was how I started terror culture. And I know some will say, oh, maybe you're privileged and what have you. But the truth of the matter is I didn't have enough money to start the terror culture that I would have loved to build. So I looked for investors. Tiger Aderianku came on board. Family and friends, they all came in and we started terror culture. Today, from that simple idea, we have been able to add significant growth to the Nigerian entertainment sector from one singular idea. That idea today has germinated to the point that when we're talking about art in Nigeria, art auctions, we're one of 2 art auction houses in Nigeria today. Nigerian art is being sold in Bonhams. There are art auctions focusing on Nigerian art today. This is where the Picassos of this world started from. They started from somewhere. In another couple of years, maybe when I'm gone, our art will be worth billions of dollars because of the effort that some of us started, like very tentative child steps now. They will yield hundreds of millions of dividends to Nigeria as a nation a couple of years down the line. That is the power of imagination. From there, I noticed that theater was more or less comatose or dead in Nigeria.